Project Reinvention Personal Development for Students podcast number 1 at yourreinvention.com. Today is Sunday, September 4th, 2011. My name is Mahfuz and I am excited to launch our very first episode of the new Reinvention podcast. We've made a lot of changes to our website this month and we're really excited to be able to offer you options, especially with our new podcast. If you're a visual learner, you can now watch the great slideshow presentation that we have on our page while you listen to our podcast. And if you're an auditory learner, you can still listen to the podcast on our website, but you can also download it on MP3 and take it on the road with you as you go. Since this is our first podcast, we're going to talk about personal development. I'm going to talk about personal development and tell you what it is because personal development was the foundation of Project Reinvention. It is also the biggest element that changed my life from tragic to magic. And I want to explain to you how I incorporate it into my life to change it dramatically over a small period of time. There's 3 major topics that I'm going to talk about in this podcast today. I'm going to start by sharing my story and talking about why is it that I'm doing Project Reinvention, why is it that personal development is a big element in my life, and why is it that I decided to start an organization and share this information with you. I'm going to then follow it up by talking about personal development. I'm going to tell you how it drastically changed my life for the better. I'm going to talk about how I used it into my life, and I'm going to talk about how you can use it in your own life. And finally, I'm going to talk about Project Reinvention. I'm going to talk about what we do and how you can access the great information and tools to use it on a daily basis. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about myself. My parents and I used to live in Saudi Arabia for many years, and my dad was doing great. You know, he owned his own business, he was living very comfortably, and my mom never had to work a day in her life. They both decided to sacrifice that and come to Canada to offer me and my 3 other brothers a great education. Unfortunately, when we came to Canada, it didn't matter that my dad owned a great company, and it didn't matter that my mom was living well, because they were forced to work or forced to go back to school and start all over. My dad ended up taking up a flooring job, and my mom ended up doing housekeeping. I still remember the night when my mom came home one late night, and she was very upset and frustrated. And at the end of the night, I was in my room, and I was laying across the hall from where my mom sleeps, and I could hear her crying louder than I've ever heard her cry. She didn't tell me what was wrong, but she didn't exactly have to tell me what was wrong. I knew what it was. She was frustrated and heartbroken from having to sacrifice everything in a great life and giving it all away so that I could live a better life. It really touched me that day, and it really opened my eyes that there's things that I need to do in order to change things for the better. I remember that day I made the ultimate promise to myself. I said I would do whatever it takes to achieve my ultimate desire. And my ultimate desire at that moment was to retire my parents. I would do whatever it took to retire my parents. So I started doing my research, and I started trying to figure out what is it all the wealthy people out there are doing for these beautiful houses, these luxurious cars, and these beautiful clothes. What is it that they're doing to achieve all this? And doing my research, I started finding that there really wasn't a lot of good training out there. There really wasn't a lot of material out there that shows you how to go from a startup student into a wealthy person. But at the same time, I found a statistic that told me that 97% of North America was in debt. So I said, what is it that I need to do to get away from the 97% and join the remaining 3% in the wealthy sector of North America? After years of research, by reading books, listening to podcasts, attending seminars, and following along a lot of mentors, I said it was time that I start my own project. The goal of my project was to take all the valuable information that I learned and those years that I've dedicated and put it onto one little program. A program that you don't have to go all around the world and spend all that money to find. Something that's available at your fingertips. So I launched Project Reinvention that I'm going to talk about a little later in the podcast. One of the greatest resources that I've found was the philosopher Jim Rohn, a great mentor in my life. He has shared a wealth of knowledge in his books and audiobooks that I decided to incorporate into my life. And one of the things Jim Rohn said that will forever stick to me, he said, for things to get better, you need to get better. And he introduced me to the concept of personal development. To me, personal development is the missing piece that will help you get to your ultimate goal. It's about improving aspects of your life. You know, whether it is career, education, your relationship, your health, your happiness, even if it's your productivity, your spirituality, and any other personal goals that you may have. In order to improve those aspects of your life, you need to go through the process of goal setting, motivation, changing your habits, improving your awareness, identifying your own values, and finally self-actualization. So I used personal development in my own life in order to better myself, and I started by changing my career goals. I said, what is it that I need to change in my career in order to be successful and provide my mom and dad with everything they want in life? At that moment, I didn't have the best job in the world. However, I decided to be the best in the job that I am, and I started bettering myself in my career. I also started bettering myself in the education sector. I no longer went to school to get good grades. I went to school to learn. I went to school to network, and I went to school to learn what is it that school can supply to me that I can use in the real world. And finally, I worked on bettering my relationship. I wanted to prove to my mom and dad that everything they've sacrificed for me was not taken for granted. And to improve my relationship with them, I showed them gratitude every step of the way. There was never a moment in my life where good things started happening that I wouldn't come back to my mom and dad and remind them that this was the reason why I'm able to get such great things in my life. I started setting some great goals for myself. I started doing my research to get great motivation. I started changing my habits. And once I started doing those things, I started naturally seeing things in my life starting getting better. And I realized that if I can do it, maybe there's more people out there that can use the same elements and fundamentals to improve their lives. So I launched a company called Project Reinvention. And what I realized is when I started releasing Project Reinvention and dropping blogs, doing seminars and reaching out to people, I noticed that they can all relate to my situation. Maybe they didn't have the same situation of leaving Saudi Arabia and parents not having the life that they wanted, but they were still able to experience the elements in life where things aren't going their way, that they're just not simply happy, that there are better things out there that they want to achieve, but they don't know how. And what I want to do is, I created Project Reinvention to give them that material to inspire them, and we've done it through a few ways. I write blogs at least twice a week, sharing my personal experiences, whether it's things that I've done, or whether it's things that I've researched and learned from other people. I don't know everything. I'll tell you this right now. I don't have all the answers, but other people do. No matter what it is you're doing in life, there's an answer somewhere out there. And I did the research and found these answers, and now I'm sharing it to you through these blogs. So it is your responsibility to go out there and do proactive research, but fortunately, I supplied that research to you. We also have YouTube video snippets of all the seminars that I've done. I'm only one person, and I try to do as many seminars as I can, but unfortunately, with the thousands and thousands of viewers that we're getting, I can't be at every location at the same time. So what I try to do is I try to take a cameraman with me, and I try to take a photographer with me so that we can get filmed and have pictures taken of all the things that we do. I also have my own personal audio recorder that I'm using for this podcast right now, and I take it along with me in these seminars. My goal is to take everything out there and putting it into this website so that you, from the comfort of your own home, using your own computer, can watch and listen and read my material. And finally, we provide Project Reinvention newsletters. This is written about once a month, sometimes even more often, by our own public relation officer, Ariane Martin. Ariane Martin is a great asset to the organization, and she continues to show great value every step of the way. She writes these newsletters on a monthly basis. The objective of the newsletter is if you subscribe through our website, we can send these newsletters directly through your email. And what these consist of is exclusive blogs that might not have been published on the website, interviews with other successful people that we're going to be doing, testimonials that you guys send back at us, and we're a strong believer that if you have a question, there's probably someone else out there that has the same question. So we take your questions that you send us through email, and we publish them on our newsletters with the answers. We also give you updates about what's to come. And finally, because you took your own time to subscribe to our website, we start doing monthly draws where we pick someone from our mailing list by random, and we send them out a nice gift just to show our thanks. So Project Reinvention provides all the tools that it can to you. But here's a bold statement that I'm going to make. If there is a single aspect of your life that you're not happy with, a single aspect, it's not your fault. It really isn't. You simply weren't given the right information at that time, or you did have the right information and someone misled you. However, if you're not happy with every aspect of your life, it's absolutely your responsibility to change it. And with that being said, you need to take the responsibility to go out there and do your research. And you need to take the responsibility to use the tools that we're providing in your life to get out there and better your life. This is not a short process. If you're looking for a quick fix, snap your finger solution that will change your life in an instant, I will not even hesitate to tell you that this is not for you. This is something that takes commitment and a lot of practice and patience in order to change your life. Remember, guys, it took me years to change my life. However, I had to take several pathways and make a lot of mistakes in order to figure out what worked for me. What I'm simply doing is saving you time and giving you the right tools. It is your decision to take them and utilize it for the better. The next podcast, we're going to talk about the power of association. One of the big things that really changed my life was the people that I hung around with, and I want to be able to share to you how that drastically changed my life. There's people out there that's going to hurt you, and there's people out there that are going to help you. And I'm going to give you tips that's going to help you quickly realize which kind of crowd that you're hanging out with. I want to end this podcast by repeating the same statement that Jim Rohn shared with me. For things to get better, you need to get better. So guys, I invite you to better yourself. Until next time, reinvent yourself.